One world spot left on the line. My name is Munchables. I'll be joined by Dagda all day long here on the desk as we break down the action. And Dagda, we have two world champions going up against each other to start us off.
And isn't it just nuts that the two world champions are facing off today to see who will progress, not towards that world's qualification, but the chance at a world's qualification.
They're already in the lower bracket. They've got a long way to go. Speaking of the bracket, let's bring it up to your screens and have a glance over what you have missed over the last couple of days in case you haven't been tuning in. We started things off with our summer finals. It was Top Esports that came out on top in the end, a 3-2 series, and what a series it was as well. That decided our top 2 seeds for Worlds. And then yesterday, Suning came out swinging with a 3-0 over LGD.
I don't think anyone expected the level of domination that Suning came out with. Absolutely running LGD through, and it just came off of fantastic plays from the likes of SOFM, from Huanfeng in that bottom lane, and they really did look absolutely unstoppable, claiming their first world's qualification. Yeah,
their first time entering that World Championship, and now we're into that lower bracket. You can see at the bottom of the screen, we're starting with IG versus FPX, but I want to take a second and talk about how we got here, because IG and FPX, they're here on champion points alone. They are here with points from Spring, realistically. That's the only reason they've made it into this qualification.
And that is absolutely nuts, especially when we look at the likes of, Suning and LGD, who rose through the ranks to get enough points in summer to make it to our qualification. It feels like IG and FPX really lacking what we expected of them in summer and honestly throughout the year.
Yeah, and there's a chance that FPX might be living up to that World Championship curse. We'll have to see. We'll go into that in a little bit as well. But I want to talk about what the expectations are for these teams, because for some of you guys at home, you might not be a regular LPL viewer from this year. And maybe you know the names Invictus Gaming and FPX, and you expect them to be world-class teams, and they might be. But that's the thing about IG and FPX is it really does depend on the day. And when we look at what has happened this summer, when we look at our skewed standings, IG came into the summer finals as the 3rd seed, but FPX, they barely scraped on Index.
Yeah, we looked at IG and we're like, right, okay, IG looking good as they come into playoffs, and suddenly we're like, wait a second, LGD comes sweeping through them in a 3-0 fashion, and then we look at the FPX on that bottom side of the table as well, a team that barely scraped in towards playoffs. They had to bring Gimgoon back in, slap a big old band-aid over their play because it was not paying dividends for them.
It really was not, and then when we looked at FunPlus entering the playoff bracket in the first round, they were knocked out by Victory 5. And I know a lot of you guys at home were all aboard the Victory 5 bandwagon, but we can have a look back at what actually happened between FPX and Victory 5, because honestly, it was kind of a disappointing series for any FPX fans there. They did manage to get themselves one win, but we'll go back into that one a little bit later. First, though, it's time to get this series underway. So I'm going to kick it over to the stage, over to Wendy to translate as we introduce our players.
Now let us welcome our 2 teams, Invictus Gaming and FunPlus Phoenix. For our top lane matchup, IG Zeshai, FunPlus Game1. Rumbling in the jungle, IG Ning, FunPlus 10. Holding down main lane, IG Rookie, FunPlus doing B. In the bot lane matchup, IG Puff, FunPlus LWX. Forward supports, IG Baolan, FunPlus Crisp. The players are set and the flames of battle are light. Who can complete the redemption of the past? The second day of 2020 World Championship regional qualifiers begin.
All right, well, that's our players onto the stage. They're looking ready and raring to get this series underway. But I want to look at what we should actually expect out of these two teams, because obviously both world champions, 2018 world champions versus 2019 world champions here. But let's break down the gameplay a little bit, Dagda, and we'll start off with IG. Looking at the way that this team plays the game, I want to kick the conversation off with how this is a team that loves to extend the laning phase.
They really do. IG are lane kings, and what they want to do is make sure that lane is as long as possible. It's not unusual to see IG still in the lanes at 16 to 18 minutes, and it's this extended laning phase that allows that individual talent from the Shy, from Rookie to shine.
And speaking about the Shy specifically, you see him right in the center of your screen. He's got outplays for days. When you get him on a teamfight pick like this Kennen, we've seen it on the Gnar, we've seen it on the Vladimir, he will make big plays that can win the game by themselves.
I mean, look, when you've got Rookie and you've got the Shy, why not rely on these individual outplays? Because they're gonna bloody do it. And when you look at just the Shy in particular, like highest damage per minute of any of the solo laners in the LPL, 21 solo kills as well. The way IG plays means you can never count them out at any point in the game.
And it's even more so the case for Rookie as well. He is far from a rookie, but most importantly, this is the kind of guy that can 1v9. He's arguably one of the best players in the world. He's in the conversation for the best player in the world. And when you see him in the games, Rookie is the reason that IG even made it to this bracket.
Yeah, he's the glue that held them together. When everything was starting to fall apart, it was Rookie that stood up and was able to hard carry IG across the finish line. He has 7 MVP performances, as you said, arguably the best mid laner in the world right now, and IG like to set him up for success. He oftentimes gets that counter pick where opting in towards some of these more lane dominant champions like the Orianna, but certainly he's able to make these picks work as he comes out with almost a 10 CS lead already at the 10-minute mark.
And we can take a look at some of the highlights from when they have been able to make the system work. And I think one of the key things to look at is the trust in this system here with Puff and Baolan, and most specifically Baolan coming back into this roster.
Exactly. Now that Baolan is back in this roster, he's been grouping so well with Ning to move towards this top side, look towards these dives in towards the top lane, or instead grouping in this mid lane and finding these successful picks. And this is why the Shy is able to make these massive plays. It's because that system is facilitating the solo laners of IG and letting, again, that individual talent come to the forefront.
And that's the key thing, right? We've got Rookie and the Shy popping off, but it's Baolan and Ning are the ones that are in the right place at the right time to set these plays up, to make sure that these solo laners can shine. And then you got Puff there on things like the utility AD carries, like the Ashe, for example, that can make sure that these hard engages exist and make sure that Rookie and the Shy can be set up for success. And I'm just curious if they're going to be able to do it here today, because it's been a little bit lacking recently, Dagda.
It has been a little bit lackluster. I mean, we saw it against LGD. They really struggled, and that's because the team fights from Invictus Gaming are so unique. The way they like to play it out is having the Shy and Rookie trying to 1v1 or 1v2 often these spread out fights, and oftentimes you'll have Ning and Baolan playing towards Puff, this 3-man group. So if you do start to fall behind, it's very difficult to make that style of play work.
And it does feel a little bit like Puff, while he has had some standout performances, he's not necessarily the AD carry that you're looking at to be this late game hyper carry. He's not usually the guy that is going to net IG the victory. On the other side of the board, though, let's talk a little bit about FPX. They are the current world champions, and they would love a chance to go defend that title, but they are on thin ice right now. And the Phoenix, well, they have been reborn coming back into the split. They tried things out a little bit with Khan, but Gimgoon, he's back in the team.
Exactly, and although I feel like the ceiling for FPX is higher with Khan, they've had to go back towards Gimgoon. He's slapped the flex tape on, and he's just about holding FPX together right now. But unfortunately for FPX, it hasn't been clean. Although they're still falling back into the old style that they won Worlds with in 2019, going down towards that bottom side, unlocking Doomby, they haven't been able to find the same results. And when Gimgoon's left on his own as this weak side top laner, it's actually a part of the map that's been exploited by other teams.
And when you mentioned Doomby as well, like, if he sticks in the mid lane, it can all go a little bit bohemian. He's got to break free, get out of that mid lane, get into the side lanes, and it's why things like the Galio on your screen are such powerful picks for him.
Also in 2 different ways. So it's one, obviously, to set up these plays, go on the aggressive, getting down for those 4-man bot side dives, but also to, again, start putting some pressure towards his top side. Help out Gimgoon when he does get attention from the enemy jungler and the enemy laners, and shutting down the map plays of other squads.
And I have to say as well, FunPlus Phoenix can be one of the funnest teams to watch in the entire LPL. They really epitomize the chaos that people often think when they think of the LPL, because this gotcha style, trying to find picks and trying to just hard accelerate the game off of just a small pick.
Exactly, and that's where Doomby's champion pool comes into its prime. With the likes of the Galio, the Twisted Fate, he likes to be able to make these picks happen for FPX. Alongside Tien on these early game junglers like the Lee Sin, expect those two to be working in conjunction together to find these picks come late game.
And it'll be a question of if they can find the picks. But I will say, stylistically speaking, we just talked about IG, how they kind of like to play individually. Comps that like to get picks are pretty good against teams that want to play individually.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why when we look at FPX, you look towards Doomby, who has this super high kill participation. He's at 78%, the highest of any mid laner in the LPL. And even though we see him going towards picks like the Galio and the Twisted Fate, he still churns out 28% of this team's damage. He's the conductor. He's the one that's setting up these plays for FPX. And they rely on him in situations like you're seeing on your screen to turn around plays that the enemy opponent is making, but also to set them up for FPX.
And I mean, you've seen Game1 in 2 of these clips here. He is notorious as the weak side top laner. He epitomizes that style of play, and it's about Doomby being able to get up to that top side and answer plays from the other team. We see it time and time again, and we see it no matter what he's picking up either. With the Orianna we've seen come in more recently.
Yeah, and I love that he's bringing in the Orianna a little bit, because this was where it was like, right, well, we're banning away the Galio, we're banning away the Twisted Fate, even the Karma as well, oftentimes targeted towards him, and that's where FPX really started to struggle. Now, though, we're seeing that Orianna come in, and it's looking a lot stronger from 100% win rate on that champion, because he can bully that mid lane, still manage to get some of these roams off, but have a bigger impact in those team fights.
I want to see a little bit more of the Rumble, man. It's been a little while since we saw the Rumble out of Doomby. But speaking of Doomby, speaking of Rookie as well, let's head to the mid lane here and talk about this dynamic, because both of them exceptional mid laners in their own right. But when you look at the statistics stack there, 2 very different styles of mid lane.
Oh, 100%. It's outplay versus map play. Rookie, if you look at his CSD at 15, his damage per minute, that's where he thrives. Beating down the enemy laner and making sure that he comes out on top. And that's where he'll start to get that snowball rolling. When we look over at FPX, it's much more about that team play for Doomby. He will sacrifice waves mid so he can make these roaming plays. Bot side, his kill participation is super high, but as a result, his CSD of 15 does start to wane.
And it does feel like Rookie has had to start to move into more of a roaming style of play as well. We have seen him getting out onto the map. And let's bear in mind, Invictus Gaming are the kind of team that want to skirmish. Rookie obviously is not static in the mid lane. He has the ability to right click. But when you look towards FPX, it's about forcing that style of play as opposed to just pulling it out when there's an objective.
And this is the thing for FPX, is that we have seen them struggle when Doomby is limited to that mid lane. Especially when we look towards LWX and Crisp in their round 1 of playoffs, they really did struggle where they weren't actually able to get any sort of help down towards that bottom lane, and V5 were able to power home that aggressive bot lane of Sam D and PP God, and LWX and Crisp crumbled as a result.
Well, let's get down to brass tacks here, Dagda. Let's start to actually look at the series, because we're heading towards the draft here, and I want to look at some of the priority picks. We'll start with IG as the highest seed coming into the series here. Let's look at some of the picks that are really going to define this team, and as is always the case with IG, you got to immediately look towards the mid lane, because things like the Orianna, things like the Syndra are always going to be massive picks.
Exactly. It is the epitome of Rookie in that mid lane. These lane bullies on which he can run away with that CSD, bully you out of lane, and I don't think Rookie knows what a defensive rune is. He is always going to want to be looking to kill you to get those big plays made. Yeah. But the reason that we need a little bit more of the Lee Sin here for IG is that we need strong dueling junglers there for Ning, so then he can help support Rookie in that mid lane so he can go aggressive. And that's as well what we've been seeing from Bellland, the two of them grouping up to help mid and towards that top side as well, where we see these things like the Jace for the Shy.
You see the 1.9 KDA there on the Jace, and like anyone that's been watching the LPL across this year, they already know the story. The Shy can sometimes be a little over-aggressive in that top side. I will say, when it works, it really works. When it works, he destroys the lane. but there's a tendency that if he gets camped, he might go 0-4.
He also has the most deaths in the LPL, so that kind of says where the Shy is at.
Yeah.
However, with this new system that we were talking about with Ning and Baolan working together to dive top lane, to set up the Shy and Rookie for success, we've seen that complete turnaround, that 180 that has given picks like this Jace rise in prominence and control in that top lane.
So let's flip the coin then and look over towards FPX, because especially in the jungle role, we have a very similar pick on both sides of the boards. We have two World MVP junglers here in Ning and Tian, and they both love that Lee Sin.
Yeah, and especially for Tien, when he's been struggling quite a bit over the course of the split, I want to see him on picks like this Lee Sin. Yeah. Comfort picks from him, you can see the win rate there as well. He has a bloody world skin for himself on this pick as well.
Pretty good win
so
rate.
Get him onto these early game junglers that can unlock Doomby on the 3 champions that you're seeing on your screen, because that's where FPX thrive. That mid jungle 2v2, operating around Doomby and moving that pressure down towards that bottom lane.
And I think an important thing to mention about that win rate on Lee Sin as well is 71% win rate when the team just went over even in terms of the standings. Like, that shows how impactful that pick has been, but also for Doomby, the Galio, the Twisted Fate, we've already talked about. He wants to get to these side lanes. He wants to be able to use global ultimates to find pressure elsewhere. And when you think about Doomby historically, it was about shove the wave and roam elsewhere. But with things like Galio and Twisted Fate in the meta, you don't even have to shove the wave that much. You can just get out of there.
Yeah, and it's something that Doomby is so incredibly good at using. And when we look at that Twisted Fate specifically, as we saw IG just absolutely wiped by LGD thanks to Shie's Twisted Fate, this is one pick that I certainly have my eyes on to see if Doomby can get his hands on it and have a similar performance to Shie in that semifinals.
So Dagda, it's about time we put our reputations on the line here
not
on
again.
the desk. We're going to go into our predictions, and it's a little bit one-sided this time around. Pretty much everyone going for IG, including yourself, Dagda. I'm going for FPX here. I've got Clement Chu on my side. They've had 18 days to get their stuff together here. They've had 18 days to train. They've got Gimgoon back in the roster. I believe that the world champions can go against that world championship curse.
I don't know. I'm not 100% on this one. I think IG, especially when we look at their semi-finals, really struggled in that bottom lane, whereas Puff and Baolan have fallen a little bit behind. I don't think we're going to have LWX and Chris punish them quite as heavily as we saw from Mark and Kramer. And at that point, that's when we start to see IG, this new system, Baolan supporting those solo laners.
All right, well, the players are on the stage and we're about ready to kick this game off. So I'm going to head over to our casters. It's Hysterics and Lyric to take away our regional finals between FPX and IG.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. It is a pleasure to be here back on the casting desk. This time with Lyric. I've taken him from the venue and I've brought him all the way to IG and FPX. Our world champions of 2018 and 2019 facing against each other. I don't think anyone thought would be in this position to kick off playoffs.
The craziest thing is going into playoffs, a lot of us thought IG would make it to the final and even potentially win.
I thought first seed at Worlds, and then, we started talking about IG at Worlds would be massive. Right now, we don't know if they're going to be there. As we jump straight into pick and ban, this is what you want, folks. FPX on blue, IG on red now. IG with the higher seed, choosing red side here. Interesting, because we've talked a lot about blue side in playoffs so far. We're going to start talking about these bans, sir, because it is very different.
What jumped out to me was coming into today, I expected that FPX will have a ban that they need to have on every side, which is Lucian, because when you think of Duinbi, when you think of Gimgoon, this isn't really their style of champion. It looks to dominate lane. True. But the Shy plays it, and of course, Rookie can pick up just about anything.
Even that Kalista, right? We're going to see FPX ban that away. That is a flex potential for Invictus Gaming. While Tien in the playoff series versus V5, it was that first pick red side of Lilia. It's been banned by red on IG, so the Ashe gets picked up.
Yep, and I like the Lilia ban coming out because it does offer some crazy shenanigans in the mid lane. I've seen Duinbi spamming the Renekton, but we do get the Ashe here. It gives LWX Prio in the bot lane, which is something FPX love to try and set up those dives or roams and help Tien out in the early game.
It's kind of funny. We'll talk a little bit about shenanigans as we go through this. After you've had a big look at solo queue, sir, but things standard so far with the Graves Nautilus for IG, Ning on the Graves.
And the funny thing about this is, you must be thinking, why are IG first rotationing Nautilus? It's because Crisp has played 21 games of Nautilus this split.
Yes.
His second most played champion is Leona at 8.
It's a lot, to say the least, right? And Baolan, we know that's his most played too.
I think a lot of fans are probably happy, though, that Crisp isn't getting his hands on the Nautilus after the performance against V5.
Oh my god, it has been middling, right? Also, to say the least.
But now we do see Tien going over to that Kindred. It has been something he's been playing a lot in solo queue. We've seen it favored by junglers like Kanavi coming into playoffs. Yep. So obviously FPX taking a page out of their book. And there is the Galio that Munchables and Dagda was talking about. This is something that Dwinby does exceptionally well on and can look to, enable his side lanes.
Hit those sides, right? Dive bot, look at FPX and their original style of 2019. At least taking a page out of that, while Invictus Gaming, this could be setting up a safer bottom lane with this Senna given over to Puff.
And it always signals us that we're going to be playing towards our solo lanes, which when you have IG on the Rift is something you want. So I like it right now. We have a carry jungler coming out. We're going to have the Dawning Shadows coming out from the Senna later on. You have a bunch of bursts. When you look at FPX's comp so far with that Kindred ultimate, it does pretty well surviving that initial burst.
Which means we go into the second ban phase with FPX looking to target out those solo lanes, but IG, a couple more supports to take off the board.
And an interesting thing is Renekton has not been picked or banned yet. Of course, it is a very Game1-style champion. Not something we'd expect to see the Shy on. He's actually only played it once this summer. Knowing IG, I would expect them to pick up mid on their fourth pick. Rookie, of course, has a lot of blindable champions. The Orianna's been his go-to this split. His second most played is the Azir. And I feel like you can insert any mid lane into this comp pretty easily, but it would be nice to see Rookie on something that is a bit more of a lane bully. Maybe you can see something...
What do you reckon?
I was going to say you could probably bring the Zoe out, but you are facing the Galio. Another potential option is reaching down in your pool and bringing out something like a Corki, which we haven't seen in a long time, but that is a counter into the Galio. It also does quite well into the Kindred because you don't have to commit into going into her and, going to that Lamb's fight.
I guess the bonus is here that both Rookie and the Shy have large champion pools. The Shy especially 15 unique champions played, so hard to ban him away. But seeing the Fiora may open something up as the Nico is a flex.
This has been a signature of Rookie, though.
Yes,
He's played it all year long. Of course, it did get some buffs, so it's nice to see him on it. It does fine into the Galio matchup. Very hard for him to get those all-ins on you with those Tangle Barbs. And this is strange, because we saw it in their last match against V5 that
we did.
They're playing with Gimgoon, but they're putting him on all these con-style champions.
That's right, but we do know that Gimgoon and solo queue, this has been spammed a lot as of recently. We know that Gimgoon and solo queue has always been different to competitive play, at least until now, and what we saw against V5. Chris going to put himself on a hook champion while we get FPX's draft, which is going to be quite different to what we're used to. And a Mordekaiser for the Shy. He started playing this champion this year for the first time, and I think he likes it.
He's fallen in love with it, right? It's even funny because if you followed the Shy in solo queue, he's almost always exclusively played AD carries and Jace, but he's actually been playing this a lot recently as well, so IG going back to a comp that's very comfortable for them. The thing that's interesting is it does very well when the enemy wants to come into them. Of course, having the Death Realm to dissuade any engage. Nico as well with her ultimate being able to lock those carries down. But for the side of FPX, they do have that engage. They do want to go in, but they can also just hold the enemy at bay, play through their side lane pressure, because Camille plus Galio is such good lockdown.
I was going to say, there's a lot of options for Doomby here with Camille top, with the Ashe and the Thresh bottom. A lot of CC to play through, and windows for FPX might be the way to go in Game 1.
I like FPX's comp a lot. I definitely feel like they came out ahead with this draft because, like you're saying, they have more options. When you have more options, that's always nice to go through, but I feel like you can't just look at these drafts on paper and say which is right and which is wrong.
Especially
because
not when it's IG.
And we have FPX playing Camille top. Like, this is not what Gimgoon has been known for this past year especially, but even going back further in his career, right? It's been about those tanks and bruisers in the top lane. If not a tank or bruiser, the GP.
Whereas on the other side, let's just quickly run into IG because we see the Mordekaiser, we see the Nico. We see Ning on a Graves, and you talked about the center being able to hold that bottom line while our solo lanes are going to be the priority, much as we know with Invictus Gaming.
Yeah, and again, I can see how their draft functions, but I don't think there's any great windows for IG to play around. There isn't like really any good gank setup, right? I guess you do have a bit of CC in mid lane. You do have mixed damage coming out on both of your soul lanes, but Camille extremely mobile. Galio as well has that E2 getaway or the taunt trying to get out of there. What I expect IG to do is to try and get that prio in the mid lane and enable Ning to play an aggressive dueling style in the river.
But ladies and gentlemen, where the Gyos at? What happened?
And these are the teams you'd think would have the most Gyos.
They would, absolutely. That arena right now, if we had people in it, would be completely packed. I dare say as much as a grand final. Just a heads up, this is our regional qualifier. This is day 2 of our regional qualifier. One of these Worlds teams is going home.
It's do or die.
And one team has to verse LGD. The funny thing about this is IG were in the exact same position in 2019 summer. They beat JDG 3-2. Then they got into the regional finals versus Top Esports and 3-2'd them as well. They have to do the same thing against FPX and LGD, but at least they have the audience behind them.
Yep, the Western audience being a big fan of IG. And obviously, IG has been much more of a staple over the years, obviously winning Worlds in 2018. Rookie has been around for so long, 2015 spring.
Yep.
I mean, even further than that, going back to champions in Korea.
Back in the day, but spent more time here in China in the LPL.
I mean, has been 5 years.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of time. But
people might have been wondering, was he a Season 1 player? No, sir. No, he was not. But he's a damn good player, that's for sure. Glacial Augment coming out of the Nico mid, and the harassability of a W start with the bit of attack speed and the third hit prop.
And this is just standard on Nico. It's nice to have the Glacial to set up all of your abilities, right? You have skill shot in your Q, skill shot CC, so it's nice. She doesn't really pair too well with any of the other runes. The interesting thing for me is that we see Dwinby going back to this Predator Galio, which we saw fall out of prevalence when the change came in. Now you do get that movement speed when you're moving towards the enemy target rather than just outright, which a lot of players didn't like because it takes away a lot of the utility.
Yeah. But at least, running at a player with Shield of Duran gives you a bit of that momentum as Chris now and LWX are targeting Baolan. These are really good trades. They end up winning out. The sustain of Puff is not that large here in the early game. So LWX and Chris will hit 2.
An important thing to note is IG's comp is definitely the one that needs to start getting ahead. And sure, you have things like Senna that do scale quite well, but on the opposite spectrum, you have a Kindred in the jungle. You have this Camille who's going to be able to outduel the Mordekaiser in the Death Realm later on.
Is this Khan playing? Are we sure this is Gimgoon? Because Tien's ganking top. The hook shot, wall shot, forces the flash for the Shy. Burns it too early on this Mordekaiser. 1, 2, and 3. And you know what? That's the Shy first blood.
Munchable said they had 18 days to prepare, so of course FPX weren't going to come in with the standard stuff, clearly adapting their playstyle. And let's remember, this is how teams continuously punished IG early on in the split, was just camping the Shy top.
Level 2, and first blood goes over to FPX. I mean, the Shy dies immediately. He has teleport, the wave getting pushed, and he's walking back. That is a big advantage to start the Kindred off with.
It goes back to our conversation earlier that Tien has set up in his lanes. Tien has numerous ways to play out this game to where IG just don't exactly have those options. We can see Ning still just going through and full clearing his jungle. Tien, though.
His mark was set up for the top side. This is perfect. Can go in for a bit of an
They
invade.
have a stacked wave.
Oh, yeah. Just go straight out for the dive. Death Grass going to be pretty crucial if this goes through. Gimgoon, the rest of the wave coming in.
It does look like he's just going to recall and make sure that Ning isn't looking for any cheeky ganks on topside, with Gimgoon having to crash that wave into turret to get the bounce back.
Ladies and gentlemen, please note this is not Ning, this is Rookie, who's walking down. Ning's actually in the river, responding with the other scuttle. And away we go.
It's a bit interesting, right? Where we have teams kind of trading sides in a sense, where FPX are on top side and now IG getting full control of bot. We do see Ning trying to steal those Raptors right now. Of course, Rookie has priority, and IG's bot lane is on the way first.
But again, to reiterate your point, we want to see IG getting the ball rolling early. That's why topside gank is very good for FPX to kick this game off.
And we want to see it happen through mid, because that's really the only place it could happen. I do like what they did there, to where, once again, Rookie has the prio in mid, so just push out, enable Ning to look for these steals, enable Ning to look for these duels, so we can always follow first and have that numbers advantage.
But at least when you talk about a comp of IG that wants FPX to come into them and are okay with that double Glacial, with this Nico, with the center being able to pull back, and the Mordekaiser who can separate one member. Feels like for IG, those 1-2 items around the objective is going to be a lot of fun to watch.
FPX also aren't a team that we expect to play perfect League of Legends, right? So they are going to make some missteps. The good thing for them is they don't really need to run into IG. They can just play back, try to set up those sides later on. I mean, once we do get a few items under our belt, Camille definitely going to be able to outduel the Mordekaiser in the Death Realm.
Yeah.
But it's nice that Rookie got a lane bully champion, because this is where Nico thrives. Those early levels, being able to bully out, especially with a range advantage in this. Galio having trouble to set up that E into taunt combo because the Tangle Barbs can just stop you in your tracks. And he's doing the most with his advantage, almost 20 CS up already.
And we know the guys are talking about extended laning phases for IG. Works out nicely. However, for the Shy, probably wants this to end as soon as possible because Tien's up top side. Ning nearby with a level advantage as the Shy's just waiting for this wave to push in.
I expect Ning to come up to secure that the Shy can push his wave in. He might just back off and try to catch it safely. We do see that Ning is heading to the Raptors because that's where Tien's mark is.
But Doomby's coming in as well. It's only level 5, but Shield Grand will do enough. Walking into Brush, the lens helps out as Rookie. Now has the Pop Blossom available. They might be trying to sandwich this one.
Both have a level lead.
But Crisp is here, that's the difference. And the mark given over. So 2 early marks for Tien on this Kindred.
And this is a throwback to 2019 where we would see Chris find a lot of these clutch roams off of those early recall timings. FPX's bot lane got the recall first, so that's why Chris was able to get here early. But Balan waiting in the wings to match.
I just love, though, that seeing Balan with the matches you pointed out is going back to the story that the guys on the desk talk about. You know, Ning and Balan have been grouping up. There has been a lot more synergy between the two, and Balan coming in has led this roster to, you know, new highs until they got to the quarterfinals.
Which, let's be fair, that series reminded me of Spring IG when they faced D-Star. Looked like they had no prep whatsoever because they kept... I'm going to stop as Balan goes forward.
We expect a bit of blood in this series. The dredge line into the wall. The Death Sentence reconnects onto the jungler as well. Sets up the level 6 Galio. Dilby flies in with double knockup. The Pop Blossom hits down onto 2. And you know what? Rookie better than Dilby at this point as Ding gets taunted up, engaged on because Gimgun has flown in the TP from the Shy. A little bit too late. He gets the red buff. Probably happy about that, but can't use his Death Realm.
Well, I mean, 1 for 1, and your top laner gets the red buff. I think IG overall are feeling good, especially when the fact is, right, it's hard for them to create a lot of these windows. They are going back to play the way we expected, right, of abusing their lane priorities to set up 4 Nings and Vades. And I really liked Rookie. He was disguised, so came in with the ultimate, which didn't have the channel time set up. Just went straight in. Duinbi got locked down. We saw Tien get locked down as well. Chris was the one who ultimately went down on the side of FPX.
And Rookie getting the kill off that fight screams to me that, all right, well, even though Gimgun picked up 1 and the sideline threat is huge, hold the phone. Balan had to burn his flash. And getting caught out in the lane. LWX and Chris have been laning well so far, Lyric, and I'm going to avoid my earlier point because this is a level 6 bottom lane, soon to be for Chris too.
They do have a nice matchup, though. Having the Ashe almost always secures you lane priority in situations like this.
Yep.
Chris, though, still wanting to be this aggressive playmaker, and both teams even right now. Just going to reiterate, that does spell good things for the side of FPX.
Dilby was heading on up just to clear some vision with Rift Herald now available. Gets vision of Raptor, sees that Ning is not there yet.
The thing that is nice about this Mordekaiser pick, in a sense, is the fact that you can't have this dual Camille into Galio play, or at least it's going to be a lot harder to execute, right? Because you go in with the Hextech Ultimatum, Mordekaiser pulls you to the Death Realm, Galio now has nothing to follow up on.
Goes on up and just has to hold his head in his hands till Death Realm.
When you're winning the matchup regardless, though, I don't think you feel too bad as FPX not being able to look for that play.
Herald's being started here, though, Lyric. And when I say start, I mean almost done. IG are not here for the play. And it's just going to go down. Tien with a good early jungle game.
You could see that IG wanted to react. They came up, but just realized they were a bit short. Of course, you don't need to rotate Puff over because he does have that Dawning Shadows to come out across the map. But as you said, Tien having a good game so far, putting a lot of good pressure on top side, now picking up that Herald. The question is going to be, where do they drop it? They haven't gotten any plates as of yet, so there's no like clear target. When you look at this comp, you would expect they want to put it towards top side, get Gimgun rolling, but you do have very good setup in the bot lane with that Enchanted Crystal Arrow.
Yeah, you really do. Back up and available. Chris will hit 6 soon. I've said that before. As I also want to ask you, Lyric, what happens with the lead Rookie has built up in this lane? About 30 CS already and the kill. How do IG translate that?
So it's exactly as we see here on our screen, right? He's going to be able to constantly out-trade Duinbi in the mid lane. It's going to enable him to move on the map more, set up for these scuttles, potentially set up for this fight at Drake for IG. And we saw it in the last red buff invade where, hey, you can get a nice dredge line coming in, bait FPX in, and set up for a massive ultimate coming out from Rookie.
Unfortunately, nothing happens in the bottom lane, so Rookie going to be walking back for now. As that Dragon staring them in the face, Ning gets positional advantage with the wards put down. Tien now hovering in the back of the wave. He'll get spotted out. That Herald, as you mentioned, will be decided to go bot.
So they are pushing out. Again, this is where all their tools are. They have the priority in the bot lane with the Ashe. They do pick up 1 plate, should be able to get a few more. Now I wonder if FPX will be willing to turn to Drake. It doesn't look like it because we do see that Rookie has matched the roam on the side, disguised as Balan.
Yep. And now Ning. Everyone backs away too. Toombi has TP and ulti, but will be far away.
I was going to say, we can actually see IG be a bit cheeky right now and potentially just start this Drake up knowing that the members of FPX would go for those recalls.
You know
especially with the Mark spawning on the top half of the map.
I was just going to say, you know what I wish it did with Nico? I wish, you know, as Graves, you got the double shot in, so it was a bit more convincing that it was a clone. Even if it didn't do the damage with things like wards, I should be a developer.
Yes, you should.
Maybe I will become like Jat one day.
So you're going to go to be a developer, come back to casting, and then go coach. Who are you going to coach?
Ghostbusters.
Oh, God.
Sorry. Team Liquid. I really don't know. V5, maybe.
Well, you are taking my dreams.
Well,
LWX has the arrow.
The Shy again. You talked about this interaction though, and Channel Sarah flashed away from the Shy little do-si-do sidestep. But remember, FPX have grouped up as 4 in this top lane, so I'm not sure it's going to end here.
And we need to remember that the Rift Herald should be the next objective to come up, so getting this swap is quite nice. It looks like they're potentially going to send Game1 now down to the bot lane. They don't have that engage tool coming out from the Ashe anymore, so realistically, FPX don't have a way of forcing a fight if they want to.
Also note that Doombee's stuck in this mid lane for now, up against Rookie once again.
30 CS behind.
Yeah, consistently, right? And I'm still waiting for that buy to come back because there is a stopwatch in the inventory as a priority for Rookie. And that Pop Blossom, of course, the interaction afterwards, the whole stasis. Which is pretty nice. Rookie now on the mend after clearing out that wave to do the same for some vision and
Now,
Game1 holding bot.
Now we expect to see IG get control of that topside river. We do see that FPX do still have some vision left over. We see Rookie leaning in. They're going to clear that out, take the Scuttle Crab. I expect him to go into FPX's topside jungle, maybe try to set up some deep vision, look for any picks, but realistically, I don't think they have a way of setting up a dive on topside or looking for these easy ganks. LWX and Crisp are quite safe.
Yeah. Fox makes it super hard as well. Tien going to be taken away a mark. What's he at? 4. Okay. Range advantage now given over as the Shy. You know what? A normal the Shy would ult that straight away, but decides not to, considering that the Gromp is gone. They're going to get a bit of information on Tien.
He does have Ninja Tabbies and Seeker's Arm Guard, so he's feeling quite fine into this 1v1, especially because Game1 hasn't picked up his Trinity Force yet.
But is very close. I mean, that Cull almost done. Tien here still hovering once again.
And he even has, I mean, he even has his passive onto the Shy, so
yeah.
we know exactly what FPX want to do.
So here we go. Level 10 versus level 9. Game1 dodges away from the maze. Deathdrawn going to be used as there's the interaction with Doombe, but the problem is 1 versus 3 as he comes on out, and Game1 definitely isn't going to die. Dodges away. The Shy, welcome to your hell. 0 and 2 as Enchanted Crystal Arrow was not really necessary, but worth a shot.
Doesn't matter if the combo doesn't work out the, you know, clean and cut way it's supposed to. You still lock them down. You still lock him down in the lane. It still gives enough time for enough members to come to secure that. And FPX used that window to secure the spot lane turret.
Early gold lead here as Teleport used to defend. Even go on the offensive with Crisp and the death sentence. They won't be able to connect Doombe after the fact. Pop Blossom coming in. Tien is blind! Oh my lord! What a beautiful creation Nico is.
Yep, Rookie Massive showing us why he has always gone back to this pick throughout the year. Doing a great job so far, but you pointed out earlier, right? FPX are the ones with the gold lead. We've even seen it continuously throughout this game that FPX have all the options. They can make the plays with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. They can make plays on the opposite side of the map coming out from the Hextech Ultimatum. And IG right there, Rookie, just relied on Tien going too far forward.
Isn't it really stereotypical of what this season has been when IG in the top side failing, where Ning hasn't been able to get so far off the ground, bar the CS advantage we're seeing. Rookie really is that standout for IG as he's been all season.
The nice thing for Rookie as well on the Nico is your build is just so cheap. All of your core items, the GLP, the Twin Shadows, you do get those core items very early on. And that's another reason why Nico is kind of such a nice mid-game champion, because you come online so much earlier than every other champion in the game.
Sim out of bursts. This is an action replay. Look at this. All right, we'll try that one again in a second. You know what? Tien put that replay up.
Yes,
that's why it didn't work. Tien didn't want to see it. He cut it. Getting comms. Let's stop that.
So, FPX are starting this up, and Balan is posturing like they want to contest. We see the other members heading over now.
Spotted out there with the scrying or Balan.
Game1 has TP.
There's 2 of them. And TP is going to be coming in from Game1, as you mentioned. Nice call. Hextech Ultimatum developers. Herald just goes down. IG now on the choke, but hooked out by Crisp. There's going to be no further engage. They've already gotten the Herald. They can just walk.
This shows, right? We've said IG want the enemy to engage into their comp, but FPX have no reason to do that. They don't need to go in. They got the objective. They already had a turret on bot side, so IG right now are just matching 1 for 1. And LWX is getting all that free CS in top side, getting an EXP advantage, getting a gold advantage, to where IG are sharing all this gold and EXP in the mid lane.
Where you can see it's only like the 1 item across the board for the Shy. He doesn't even have his first item, so
we're even seeing a trade that we've seen consistently throughout playoffs where, you know, one team will just continuously opt out for those early Drakes and just snowball this gold advantage. And those are typically the teams we've seen come out ahead because when that third Drake comes, they're at higher item power spikes. They're able to take these fights quite well. And so far, FPX are the ones set up in that position.
But let's just remember IG working towards an Infernal Rift with 2 dragons in their back pocket already. When we talked about the team that needing to really snowball and push ahead, while they haven't done that, an Infernal Soul is a condition that could help net them some more momentum.
Game1 right now sitting with the most gold in the game, but Game1 and Tien both doing such a good job to go forward. Obviously, the standout member for IG is Rookie.
Yeah.
Sitting with about a 1K gold lead over Doinby.
He's actually matching Game1's gold at the moment as well. So you can see eyes on Game1 for FPX, eyes on Rookie for Invictus Gaming. And I was coming into today expecting a lot of blood, a lot of matching, a lot of chaos. But in this Game 1, it's been based on the picks through the early game that Tien set up the top side. It's been based on IG's Rookie trying to find momentum as well.
IG have the highest champion kills per minute in the LPL. If you include all of playoffs, if you include all the regular splits, so bloody games are definitely what you see with IG. FPX have been a bit of a slower team. They usually have a much faster, like, first 5 minutes, as we've seen.
Yep.
They're very good at finding those first bloods and getting those early ganks off, but that's typically when we've seen them not exactly take their foot off the gas, but me and you were talking about this earlier. They are typically the author of their own demise with a lot of the engages they look for.
But at least with a comp like this, at least with the draft we talked about, as Herald gets charged down through the mid lane. With the lead already on Game1, with him farming away, they are set up for their own success as well. As Root narrowly misses, Doinby gets away in time, mid-turret defended, LWX almost goes down. Puff has his ulti, but doesn't think he can kill LWX, and I tend to agree with him at this point in the game without one of those second items in his back pocket. So LWX gets away, turret holds for IG, and the farm continues, ladies and gentlemen. 5 kills at 18 minutes. We'll eventually ramp this one up for you, don't worry.
Yep, and now all those resets coming out. So taking a look at itemization, it's interesting to note that the Shy went for the Nashor's Tooth start, which is typically more of a, like, dueling, pulling someone to death realm, getting that 1v1 item rather than, you know, something like a Leandri's, which is much more about teamfight and playing with your passive aura around you, dealing all that damage, proccing that on everyone, or something like a Protobelt, which can get you onto the carry even faster.
Because we have a dual Game1 at this point. He got an early Trinity Force. He beat the Shy to the 1 item mark, but I see the Seekers, I see the defensive capabilities now for the Shy.
He also has Conquer, so he will do better in the extended trade. Especially now, I still think he definitely comes out ahead in that 1v1. He's still sitting on the Seeker's arm guard, of course, so having the armor as well as the Ninja Tabby
definitely helps. I'll be curious, though, as we get towards the Death's Dance for Game1 as his second item. Because he's in a very favorable position. He's down CS, but again, that kill early with the couple assists helps him a lot.
We've also seen, and we can even see it right now on the minimap, that all of FPX's members are continuously just pushing sides and hovering mid. They are looking for these group that plays. They're prepared for anything that IG can throw their way. And I expect to see them continuously set up for kind of like a 2-lane setup where we'll see Game1 pushing out aggressively, but Doinby typically should just be catching waves on the weak side of the map. It should be a lot more about Tien playing with Game1, as we've seen all game long.
Yeah, the threat of Doinby as well. We know what Galio is. He hovers between skirt of vision, sets up the ulti. And then when he gets that Sonya's Hourglass as well, is such a great disruptor to the backline.
That's the great thing too, right, is he doesn't even need to be a big damage force in this game because of the champions around him. He could just go for that second item, Sonya's, buy more time in fights, and just be this big CC and zoning tool for FPX.
Yeah, another Doinby's Galio's pretty much been exactly that in the past.
We also talked about Rookie's items earlier and how cheap they are, and it shows now to where he is sitting on that 2-item combo of the GLP plus the Twin Shadow, so he will be a lot of a nuisance for the enemy team.
We're at a very good point, actually, because Ning has the Umbral Glaive. There's the Black Cleaver picked up as well. And for Ning, he's going to be loving this Black Cleaver purchase from Puff because that's going to be helping him. I think Ning right now, who's been farming all game long, by the way, is at a very good point. 190 CS at 20 minutes as a jungler. Plus, he's got a sizable lead over Tien's farm.
We do have Dragon coming up in 27 seconds, so IG have just hard committed 5 men to bot side to be able to guarantee this vision, not have to wait out answer waves on the sides. As we've seen, FPX have set up that top wave. It is pushing into IG's turret. The Shy does have TP if he wanted to go answer that, but instead realizing, hey, I don't want to have to dedicate that tool, dedicate that resource, he's just going to walk straight to the Dragon.
Knowing the Shy, he'll take the fight, and if IG win, he'll TP up there.
Doinby also just finished his Zanyas. So now he does have that tool to buy time in these fights.
2 items here for the Galio, Renan's Hurricane for the Ashe as well. We're hitting 2 items pretty much across the board, bar a couple of key members. Remember, Infernal's all on the way. IG already have 2 in their back pocket as FPX start the position. Gimgyun on the flank. Baolan knows he's there, but it's taken. Tien gets the first Dragon of the game in IG. Not keen on the fight yet, but Doomby might be caught on out as the Death Grasp doesn't pull in, but there's the Realm onto Doomby. He comes back in with the Justice Punch. The Shy as he comes on out. Here's the rest of IG, but Gimgyun on the flank with a Hextech Ultimatum. He's done enough damage as Doomby. Melee down with the 2-man ulti, but the Pop Blossom is on to 4. Golden is rookie. Protobelt out. No one's died yet, but IG with a low health bar. But do you think they can? No. Baolan goes in while the rest of FPX have a great old time. Puff's dying too, and Baolan, the re-engage, was just so troll.
It was not nice to see. But what was nice was seeing Gimgun's flank coming in. Nice Hextech ultimatum to set up that nice ult from Doinby. They did get the members of IG about down to half HP. But as you said, Baolan's dredge line, not exactly.
He had like 1/4 of his health at IG. You can see they were not reluctant.
That is obviously us saying it in hindsight, which is very easy.
Of course.
But what is in hindsight is FPX, with all those picks, turning to the Baron.
And that Baron is going to net them such a good lead in this game. 22 minutes in, FPX with a comp that will outscale, that will destroy towards this later game. Lyric, very easy position right now for FPX, a 5k gold lead. Time to start pushing.
It goes back to what we said about how you look at IG's comp, and it's very burst reliant, right? Nico's a burst champion, Graves is a burst champion. Sure, IG has, the Shy's itemized in a bit more way to get a bit more value of extended trades, but once again, Mordekaiser wanting to burst out one of these party members for FPX, but you're not going to burst out Doinby. He already is on his. He has the taunt coming in as well. The Kindred Lamp despite. That was a bit unfortunate. Was LWX's ult missing because the Shy went right into the Death Realm. And the FPX members do get quite low. I was surprised they lasted so long.
That's Zanyas.
But nice ult coming out from Gimgyun. You point out the Zanyas as well. The knock-up, and there's the Lamb's Respite, so none of that burst being able to take down the members of FPX. This is where it looks a bit dicey. Baolan flashes forward, gets the hook, but right there, Gimgyun with the burst, Crisp able to follow up in Doinby as well, just giving a really nice angle for Tien to get in as well and deal all that damage.
Hey, look at Doinby's damage though. I mean, easy engager, but also saved his flash until the end for the almost 3-man shield of Duran. FPX now on a bit of a tear with this Baron as the Shy still wants a 1v1 Gimgyun, but he's got the Death Dance now, and that uppercut with the scissor leg hurts a lot. Hextech ultimatum.
He's just gone.
Gimgyun better than Khan. Just saying it in game 1, because right now he's dumpstering the Shy.
And now they have Baron. I mean, 5v4 on the map. They can easily take down this bot side turret. Rookie is looking for something, though. But
Angle bobs need to connect.
this is what we said earlier on. The FPX's comp is just so mobile. It's very easy for them to get away from any of IG's engages.
What do you do now? I mean, this looks pretty next to
Hysterics,
hopeless.
I'm going to say, this to me looks like draft difference.
Okay.
Which, I mean, let's go back to LGD. This isn't something new for IG.
No. A lot of the time, IG get away with murder. It's quite literal, but it's also funny enough to see a lot of IG's drafts. I know a lot of people don't agree with it.
But you just kind of learn to accept them. You learn to accept, you embrace them, and then as, I don't want to say coin flips, but, you know, as you pray, you just kind of hope it'll work out. This game it didn't, and I really want to go back to what Munchable said one more time, that FPX had 18 days to prepare for this. FPX had so much time to watch all of playoffs. They had enough time to watch IG. Of course, IG also did have quite a bit of time, but FPX, especially with seeing how badly their style failed, not only in playoffs, but in the regular split, of course would go back to the drawing board. To where if you're IG, you could have a false sense of security in saying, well, you know, we only lost one playoff match. We didn't have a good read on draft. We first picked a list every game, all these things. To where FPX had to dissect themselves and rebuild.
I just love that solo kill. Doomby kind of comes in the end, but you give it to Gimgyun. And yeah, a bit of a highlight in the bottom of your screen. You can see Gimgyun is He's been rolling towards the end of the split. You and I use the terminology duct tape for FPX.
So when I was checking their solo queues last night, I was so confused when I opened Game1 and thought, oh, maybe this is actually Khan's, because his most played champions this week were Jace, Camille, Irelia, and Silas.
Which is like the exact same as what we saw with Khan. There's Enchanted. Now, the one thing about LWX's game is he's missed a lot, as Balan is caught out, shouldn't be here, depth charge used. Puff wants to heal his support, but Balan's dead for the second time, and not a good start to IG because the Shy's about to be solo killed once again. The Death Realm means that he is sure to die, question mark, hook shot, wall shot, one more, flashes, Gimgoon, you big man, the center kind of cheats, the Death Grass comes in, Puff, that's not fair. I wanted to see that play out.
Like both of them with a nice outplay, the flash coming in from Gimgoon, then the return flash coming in from the Shy.
It was something of beauty until Ning and Puff got involved. But either way, this doesn't change the way I feel about FPX this game. They're heading towards an Infernal Soul. But do we even get there at this point? It's just extra stats.
We have a 6K gold lead on the side of FPX. I mean, they're so fed right now. They have all the gold on their main carries.
Can I ask, have you ever been in a League of Legends game and say 1v1 me after getting angry that other people interjected?
I will not answer that question, and I will look at this because we see the Hextech Ultimatum coming out from Gimgoon. Now the Shy pulled into the Death Realm. Does get the first Q, but it wasn't isolated, it looked like, so it actually didn't get a ton of damage. So close to finishing it off. Does flash that isolated Q, comes out with the W.
That's cheating.
It was
that's cheating, man. Come on.
I'm not sure he would have won still. But it was still cheating.
But that's the answer I want to find out,
exactly,
right?
yeah. That was a best of 2, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
We didn't get the answer we wanted.
Oh, well, I'm sure we'll find out pretty soon. At least for the Shy, even though the kill was taken away, he survives, he gets to keep farming up, he keeps to...
I mean, we're not going to get the answer we want because Gimgoon's also farming up. Gimgoon is also picking up more Infernal Drakes.
Very true. But this Game 1 has been, so far, what I least expected, right? IG, who've looked for options, but have been pretty limited in where Ning's paid attention to, where the actions happen. It hasn't been a very IG game, and FPX have got to play this out slow.
We've seen IG succeed when they have either push or set up in top plus mid, and you have like roaming and engaged champions coming out from Ning and Balan. This game, they had the losing bot lane, so we didn't get to see Balan move out of lane much. Of course, the Shy doesn't fare well in the 1v1. They don't fare too well in the 2v2 either. But I mean, and Doinby even always has the global to match.
If you're watching FPX, not often do you see TN, pay attention to top, right?
No, I mean, no.
Like, that's why the Shy's like, well, I'm level 2.
It's not like it never happens. No. It will happen once every blue moon, but to see them come into this first game, draft with this comp.
Hey, it landed, though. Gimgoon coming on in, and Balan now stuck in the middle. Hero's Entrance going to lay it down, and Puff's just dead. Balan low, the Shy in the middle of it all with the Death Realm to play with. Gimgoon trying to cape this one out. He gets an uppercut, he gets a hook shot, wall shot. The Shy's going to come out in a second, and there they are waiting. At least the Shy gets Gimgoon. Collateral damage, a bit of damage on the excess, as Balan is not Balan, it's Rookie wants a flank.
FPX have the fast track to the base, so they should be able to take this inhibitor. Baron's also up.
Rookie's still waiting for this one, Lyric.
40 seconds on the shot. I mean, Rookie's half HP. You have every member of FPX.
That's Balan's HP because Spectator's not right, remember.
True.
As the most annoying thing that still needs to be changed. He runs away as Doinby protobelts towards him as Tien's over the wall. Balan too far forward. What's new? As onto Ning. A bit of trading, and there's the Baron.
Even with Rookie being full HP, I mean, you're in a 3v5 against a comp that has absolutely everything up. We have Lamb's Despite for Tien. They have more items. They have more sustained damage. They have more survivability tools. I can understand, though, from IG's perspective, because, right, this is where we always say you need to make the Hail Mary. You need to go for the, 20-80 play and hope that 20% lands so you can get back in the game.
That's IG style. They always force the same play, and I think a lot of IG fans out there know that if something doesn't work, IG won't give up. They'll try and try again until they lose the game.
I also feel like it's very comp dependent to where if you do have a comp that gets hard outscaled, that's when you go for the Hail Marys.
As flashing away from the Enchanted Chapter from Ning. Phase Rush also helps. Balan in the river, but right now Rookie might have to get out of there too with Doinby just flanks on him with the TP. Wow. Rookie, they know you're there. We're going to get the yakety sacks as the whole of FPX want him, but decide against it. Baron time it is.
FPX making the smart decision saying, hey, why are we going to waste time and chase down another member of IG? We can go to the Baron, and guess what? IG potentially need to come into us, or we just get a free Baron.
Gonna have to contest this one, but it's already gonna be gone. But by the time they get there, Dredge line connects onto Doomby. The Death Realm still being weighed. As the Shy finally pulls it off. Puff comes in with Adorning Shadows. The Shy's in the middle of all this though, while Baolan gets poked down. Here comes the Mordekaiser, and the Lamb's respite from Tien means Doomby won't die. The Flay sends him up, and Doomby even picks up the kill. 13-4, soon to be more with Puff getting launched on. This is a massacre, and FPX, they're done with their dinner. They want dessert.
And it's great to see when Doomby has been playing the rookie-esque role and pretty much playing 1v9 in the Summer Split. Great to see this team step up as a whole.
Pop Blossom. Gimgoon's still going to be going forward, but that's the fake one.
They're ending the game.
Yeah, well, I think this was over 10 minutes ago, don't you?
Maybe like 31.
31? Okay. Fair enough. Especially when Gimgoon got ahead. FPX, I mean, this is meant to be a regional qualifier, and it felt like another day in the office.
Yeah, it was very literally another day in the office for IG. For FPX, though, this was a really solid win. Again, they've been on a bit of a losing streak. They didn't look hot at all up against V5, where they lost 3-1 for V5. So coming in with this nice win, it's going to be nice to use that momentum and go forward. For IG, go back to the drawing board. We need to remember that they came into this picking red side when we've seen pretty much every other team picking blue.
Yeah.
It's also strange in the sense that we said, hey, FPX kind of have the set ban they need to have with Dilution. You could even say the same thing with the Kalista, and then you also have things like the Caitlyn coming out. I feel like it would really restrict the pools of FPX and, you know, not give them any flexibility if they were forced on the red side.
You know what we also saw is we saw that Nautilus first pick come through to deny Chris, but Chris gets his Thresh, which he's looked fantastic on in the past anyway, so IG didn't really limit much of FPX in the draft at all.
No disrespect to Chris, but again, I feel like IG did him a favor.
Yeah,
he looked absolutely great on this Thresh. He was constantly roaming around the map. LWX, he missed some ultimates, but you know,
he hit some as well.
He put down the DPS, and he also consistently kept up the push in bot lane. But the two people we need to highlight, right, Gimgoon and Doomby. Doomby doing such a great job in these skirmishes, and Gimgoon saying, hey, give me the Camille. Have confidence in me. Believe in what I can do. He delivered.
I loved also that we saw Tien gank topside so early in the game, put the Shy behind. As you said in-game, it's a surefire hit to put IG in harm's way. Like, the Shy being punished is how teams have beaten Invictus Gaming in the past.
We've also just seen FPX's shot calling as a whole just really come together. Like, they had a clear game plan. They played around all their priorities, all their windows quite well. They knew how to execute in these team fights, and they were always objective-focused, right? They knew we're going to give up these early dragons and get gold on the map, and we're not going to chase Rookie at the end. We're going to get the Baron. They always had their eyes set on the goal.
It's crazy to me that, you know, that was over in 36 minutes, but it did feel like, again, it was over very early into the game. With how FPX comp went and how IG just couldn't find any options. Ning was farming very well, but he never got into those fights where he could use it apart from the bottom side. But from there, Baolan engages, Doomby gets that 3-man taunt, and it's over anyway for the ring.